Hi everyone, today is Tuesday, October 15th, and this is Dr. Stephanie Sarkis, and I'm going to be answering a couple of your questions that get asked frequently. One is, do you ever grow out of ADHD? ADHD is a genetic disorder, very highly genetic, and so if you have it, I believe the latest research is that there's a 75% chance at least one of your parents carries the genes for it. So you carry those genes throughout your whole life, and you may find as you get older, your hyperactivity is not as hyperactive. So you're not running around the room during a staff meeting, you're not climbing on furniture, but you may find that you are having inner restlessness. I have a lot of people report that they're feeling inner restlessness. So ADHD doesn't go away, it just changes over time. I think the latest study I've read says 80 to 90% of people retain symptoms into adulthood. Now, you may have found an ADHD-friendly job, ADHD-friendly friends, ADHD-friendly relationships, your ADHD doesn't bother you as much. But once you get into a situation where it's not ADHD-friendly, which is a majority of stuff in the world, those symptoms start bothering you again. So in ADHD, there's also a difference between your potential and your ability. So you know that you should be able to be doing things, but your brain just can't do them. And that leads to a 50% overlap with ADHD and anxiety and depression. And also you're more prone to inheriting the genes for anxiety and depression at the same time you inherit the ones for ADHD. So also I was asked, what's the most effective form of treatment for ADHD? Overall, and this can differ by person, but overall the most effective treatment is stimulant medication. Stimulants have been around for several decades now in the US. There are a lot of longitudinal studies, meaning studies of 10, 20, 30 years looking at the effectiveness of stimulant medications, and they by far are the most effective treatment for ADHD. There are also non-stimulant medications available as well, but those in head-to-head studies with stimulants have not been found to be as effective for treating symptoms of ADHD. As far as non-stimulants that are non-medication treatments rather, exercise is really effective, not as effective as stimulant medications. So basically all the non-medication stuff I'm going to talk to you about, stimulants still are more effective. So you have exercise, mindfulness meditation, good sleep hygiene, which means that shutting off your electronics an hour before bed, because you have melatonin inhibition, or your melatonin does not release as well when you have ADHD, which means it's harder for you to get to sleep. And when you use a backlit device, your melatonin release is inhibited. So logic tells you when you combine ADHD with a backlit device, you may have worsening of melatonin release. So shut off electronics. The ideal is 2 hours before bed, but I know that's really tricky for a lot of people, but just try an hour before bed. And that could be, starting out at shutting off your electronics a half hour before bed or 15 minutes before bed, and then gradually increasing that amount until you get up to an hour. Non-backlit devices and real books do not inhibit melatonin. It's been found in studies, so go ahead and read one of those instead. Also, if you're having a hard time disconnecting from your phone, I recommend you turn your phone settings into black and white. And the black and white phones are not as exciting to the ADHD brain or any brains, so you'll probably be less likely to get hooked on them. So also, cognitive behavioral therapy is an effective treatment for ADHD as well. And when cognitive behavioral therapy, you look at the cognitive, kind of the destructive cognitive thoughts you have during the day, and including all or nothing thinking. So all or nothing thinking, which can be pretty common in ADHD, is something like, well, my one friend can't go to the movies, so that means I have no friends. And people with ADHD can really get into these kind of traps of thinking. So in cognitive behavioral therapy, we talk about what those cognitive patterns are and how to change them, because what you think about yourself makes a big difference on your brain chemicals and just your overall view, and how you feel about yourself becomes kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. So that's cognitive behavioral therapy. So also I was asked, why are people with ADHD prone to gaslighting? And I'm going to be presenting on this at the Chat International Conference in November. And when you have ADHD, you tend to have issues with self-esteem, because you may have been told that you're not as smart as other people, or that you have to work 5 times as hard as everyone else and you only get half the amount of work done. So when someone says to you how wonderful you are, and they do the love bombing stuff, which is going way over and beyond what someone else would do and trying to kind of get you to go in a relationship with them. People with ADHD are more prone to that. You're also more vulnerable to a gaslighter if you're grieving, if you have anxiety or depression, and gaslighters can kind of sense that. So also there's that people-pleasing aspect, that if you feel like people haven't really liked you that much because you have ADHD, then you're more prone to being susceptible to that. And then when you try to leave, gaslighters will do something called hoovering, which is they try to suck you back in. And again, that idea that someone tells you that they understand you and that you belong is very alluring to people with ADHD or depression or anxiety, because you may not have experienced a lot of that in life. So again, I'll be presenting at CHAD in November. If you go to my website, stephaniesarkis.com, and click events, you'll see that listed. And also I have the gaslighting book, so here's the gaslighting book, yay. So, and then also Naturally for Adult ADHD talks about medication, and also the non-medication treatments. Again, these are not as effective as stimulant medications, but they can be used with or without stimulant medication. That's exercise, mindfulness, meditation, cognitive behavioral therapy, and good sleep practices. So I hope you have a good day.